I want to turn next to the notion that the United States currently has a quote-unquote great economy, something that President Trump repeats and that a great many others seem to acknowledge. Well, no less an authority than the International Monetary Fund, of which the United States is a member, gave a kind of report card, an assessment of where the American economy is, and they concluded it was not in great shape. In the understatement for which the IMF is famous, quote, the benefits from the decade-long expansion of the American economy have not been widely shared. Okay, plain English. The rich got richer and the poor got nothing. That's what happened over the last 10 years. And it, by the way, gives the lie to the old argument again of liberal people that somehow if you grow the economic pie, if we have economic growth, then everybody will benefit. No, the last 10 years show us. If at the same time that you grow the pie, because indeed it grew, you decrease the slice that's given to working people, they're not better off. And the reality is that even though the economic output of goods and services grew very, very substantially in the last 10 years, the real incomes of average Americans barely budged at all. All of the gain went to the rich at the top. Here's a list of what the IMF says are signs that the economic performance in the United States is not good. I'm just going to read you some of their list. The impact of rising suicides and drug overdoses on falling life expectancy. The United States has now a lower life expectancy than almost any of the other countries in the G7 or the list of major industrial capitalist countries. That's not a sign of economic well-being. The actual adjustment in the median income of the United States over the last decade or so has been, actually for the last 20 years, has been 2.2% median income rise in real terms. Over that time, the gross output of goods and services rose 23%. So somebody's getting all that extra output, but the median, the average American, isn't. Among the 40%, poorest 40% of the population, the wealth of that bottom 40% is lower today than it was in 1983. That's not a report card of a great economy. 45 million Americans live in poverty by the statistics on poverty kept by the United States government. Social mobility has collapsed in the United States. Back in 40 years ago, half of the young people at the same age as their parents were living better than those parents did. Today, half of today's young Americans earn less than their parents did at a similar age. I mean, it's a real collapse. And finally, we have some of the worst outcomes of our educational system of any advanced industrial economy. So whatever else you think about, if you look in anything like a balanced way at our economy, if you don't cherry pick the statistics that make things look good and carefully avoid looking at those that don't, if you don't do that kind of lopsided behavior, you get much closer to the IMF's assessment than to Mr. Trump's self-serving effort at re-election next year.